Can you hear me now? I turned it off and then back on. That has fixed it in the past. What is 5 by 5? Am I gonna have to look that one up? Still no sound, Gnarly? Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that. I was talking about finding this lighter when my dad had passed. My mom gave me, there were 3 lighters. Okay, loud and clear. I'll have to keep that in mind. I was saying Merry Christmas to you as well before, Gnarly, and glad that you're part of the Wednesday noon crowd and not just the Tuesday morning crowd. I had some things come up yesterday that I needed to do with family, and that precluded me from doing the normal Tuesday live. And since I wasn't doing the live stream on Tuesday, I went ahead and published the video that I had ready for this morning, but then of course I didn't have a video ready for today, so just thought I'd hop on and say hello, say Merry Christmas, see how you guys are doing. Maybe talk about a lighter or two, have a cup of coffee, and learn something new about flight language. 5 by 5 means there is sound and there is audio loud and clear. All right, good to know. I am certainly ignorant of flight language. Very cool, Gnarly. He says his dad gave him an old lighter recently from the Korean War that says headquarters and headquarters Korea. Yeah, man, you ought to publish a video of that. That's pretty cool. I've had a lot of presentation lighters and other military lighters that were not Zippos. Conwall Super, that's one of the brands that make or put out a lot of really good ones, high quality with really nice enameled emblems. Really cool lighters. But I was saying about these lighters that my mom gave me that belonged to my dad. One of them was the Crestcraft, that's sort of like a thin, full-size Zippo, and then there were these 2 gold-plated. I don't think either one of them had been used, but I had used this one, was carrying it around and using it at one point, and apparently lost it or forgot about it. Found it yesterday morning on top of the refrigerator over here in the Deep Deuce headquarters. Hopefully I won't overfill that. I don't know if the rest of you guys have any trouble overfilling lighters. But it is a constant struggle for me. Gotcha. Video and audio. So both what you can see and what you can hear. But we did have another experiment that I videoed earlier for this park with the pipe insert in it. So you can look forward to that tomorrow. And these are interesting lighters. A little bit curious in their construction. That base plate is not one piece with the outer case. And maybe this is actually tubing that then has a base plate soldered to the inside. Probably, actually. I bet that's the case. And then they just finish them better on the top. So maybe it's a I don't know if it's a thicker solder or an actual weld on top that then they finish with a grinder, sander of some kind. Very cool, Gnarly. Very cool. You got to think about making a video of that lighter. You have a pretty extensive collection, isn't that right, Gnarly? Or have you sold most of what you had? I know we've talked about the stainless steel Zippos. Maybe we didn't overfill it. Took a few strikes to get it to light there. Yeah, Gnarly, I'm from Oklahoma. I've lived my entire life in Oklahoma. Except for the year or so that I lived in Alaska as a baby that I don't remember. Other than that, I've rarely been out of the state. I was in Alaska for that time because my dad was in the Army for a short period. Well, I shouldn't say short time. For him, it probably seemed like a long time, but relatively speaking, he certainly seemed that way to me for that time period toward the end of the Vietnam War. He ended up, I think, spent like 14 or 18 months in Alaska. But I know he was thankful that that was as far away from home as he had to get. Yeah, I don't know. I've never done any kind of repair like that, Gnarly. That's why I was kind of surprised when you told me that Ted had repaired your 3-barrel hinge. I think it was 3-barrel hinge, maybe it was 5-barrel. Whatever the older of those 1940s lighters that we were talking about that had the one, well, I think it was the one with the stainless steel hinge that you said Ted repaired. I don't know. I'm not going to attempt to make a repair like that. Now, if the lighter might otherwise be worthless, then I can see where it'd be worth it. But I don't know. But if you're a good enough welder, or if you know enough, I've never messed with JB Weld other than to plug a hot water line, or maybe use some kind of JB Weld epoxy for something else. But I guess, you know, if you've got a way to put pressure on that hinge while the
epoxy is curing without leaving a mark, then maybe there's really, maybe you're not risking that much.
I know ZF77. He does a lot of like hinge repairs, replacing pins, stuff like that. I've just never done it for one thing because my main goal is to sell, or was at least, and I just didn't want to put that out there that I don't torque around on hinges. I don't do tricks with them. I take care of my lighters and all that. But oh, cool. And what do you have of that 100? What are those 100 that you would consider? What makes them worthy of your collection now? Are those all Zippos? Now, how did you, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to ask you another question before you answer the first one, but how did you become acquainted with Ted? Was it through cigarette lighters? I thought you were from Edmond. Now that you mentioned JB Weld, though, maybe I should, if I run into another one, or, there's certainly nothing wrong with using something like that. It's just, for me personally, if it's something you're going to sell, then you need to disclose that that's how it was repaired. Which I wouldn't have any problem doing that if it was a sturdy repair. So you're related to Will Rogers and also close proximity to Wiley Post. Did they die together? Did they die in the same plane crash, or was that Wiley Post died in a different plane? Why were they connected? Trying to recall my Oklahoma history from the second semester of the 8th grade. When would that have been? That would have been back in 1985. I don't even think they teach Oklahoma history in schools anymore. I know they credit Will Rogers with that quote, and you hear it paraphrased all the time. Rarely quoted exact, and I'm probably not going to quote it exactly either. But something to the effect of, if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, just wait a few minutes. You've got 5. I thought it was 3. So you've got 4 of them that are brass and the one that's the stainless steel. Solid stainless steel and no plating. Interesting. Yeah, I need to get back on that. I told you I'd ask around about that. Have you ever made any videos, Gnarly? This is so weird. Last week when I was in the middle of this live stream, I was able to split my screen, and now it won't let me. Interesting. I was just going to go take a look at your channel and see if you'd ever posted any videos over there. If you got that many old lighters though, man, you ought to. Set up your phone, use it for a camera. You probably don't even need a microphone. Probably just set up your camera. Make a simple 8-minute video That'd be awesome to see the stainless steel in a full-length YouTube video. So not just Zippos, you got various brands of lighters in your collection. I published a video the other day of, well, yeah, the one that should have been published this morning, current state of my Penguin Cygnus collection. And I've got a few other lighters that, you know, I'm really fond of. I've got a few that I wouldn't part with that have been given to me or passed down to me, or another piece of Tobacciana or so. But of the lighters that don't have any sentimental value because of a family member, friend, or something like that, or because they have been gifted to me, those Cygnus are right at the top. I'm pretty fond of the double-sided Bob Dylan Tour Merchandise Zippo. I'm pretty fond of the ATF badge Moonshine Kills Park Lighter. But I think I would probably part with either one of those right now before I would part with the entire collection of Cygnus lighters. Those are definitely my favorite. Yeah, well, I tell you what, talking to Ted, you can learn a lot. It just blows my mind that, you know, today we look for information about all these individual lighters. And Ted's been collecting since an uncle came back from World War II and gave him 3 lighters. I can't remember exactly what the 3 were, but I know that they included at least one Regions squeeze lighter. May have been 2 Regions and something else. I can't remember what the other one was. But so sometime in the mid to late 1940s is when Ted started collecting. So there's no telling how many pieces of ephemera, lighter literature, and catalogs and those kinds of things that today would just be a gold mine that he witnessed firsthand as a consumer. Just crazy. But Ted knows a lot. And not only a lot about cigarette lighters, he's also a big Star Wars fan. I believe he's a die maker also, or casting maker. What was it? Something he told me, some kind of small castings or something that he makes. That he said there wasn't anybody better than him. So you say that that 1948 has. Hold on, where'd that go? Stainless steel has a replaced 5-barrel hinge. All the others from 48 have a 3-barrel hinge. Ah, okay. And so did you say Ted put that 5-barrel hinge on the stainless steel lighter for you? And how did he attach it? And I would really like to see, if Ted welded that hinge on there, I'd really like to see how it looks. I'm no expert welder. I've welded a little bit in my life, but I can't imagine. You know, it's pretty amazing. Even some of the worst scarred up weld marks on the back of a Zippo, they're pretty amazing when you consider what's going on there to create that joint, to bond those two metals together. Maybe still a little bit of vapor lock in there. May have been still a little bit of not quite enough vapor seeped up there when we first tried to light it. It took 5 or 6 times. Or maybe it was vapor locked at that point. I don't think so. It acted like it wasn't blowing it out the top like it usually will with vapor lock. So I'll probably put this in my pocket and carry it for a while. Very common. Like I said, don't think there's anything super collectible, definitely not expensive. But I was glad to have any lighters that had belonged to my father, even if he hadn't used them like this one. Still cool to have and cool to use. But the one that he owns is chrome plated brass, where 4 of yours are chrome plated brass and 1 is naked stainless steel. You say a couple of Colibri Kickstart. Are you talking about in your personal collection, or that 100 or so that you have right now, Gnarly? Colibri Kickstart are really cool. I'm not sure what you mean by if you older Romans, mostly Zippos. Must have been a typo. But did Ted weld that hinge for you? Was Ted the one that welded the 5-barrel hinge onto that 1948 stainless steel lighter? And if he did it, did you see him do it? That's some pretty precise work. Yeah, I've heard of the aluminum Alcoa Zippo. I don't know if I've ever seen one that had sold or anything. I don't have a subscription to WorthPoint anymore to look that stuff up. What's up, old Henningsen? Glad for you to join us from Denmark. So you recently bought the IMCO 66, 67, 6800. We talked about the IMCOs last week or the week before with, I don't remember who all was in that discussion. Sean and Azrael and Naphtha and Histoire d'une Flamme. So you sold it to him and then he sold it back to you at a much greater price. Yeah, well, I don't know how all that works out. You know, there's different codes of ethics when it comes to people that
are selling stuff like this that used to be personal, maybe sentimental to somebody. And I get that. But at the same time, you got to understand most of these items end up being out in the public market because a family member or somebody sold them once that person passed, or maybe that person themselves sold it. So I get it. I don't have any problem with people that want to reunite cool old items with their rightful owner. But at the same time, I think it's fair game. And, as long as you're not misleading somebody in the way that you buy something, if, you can make money off something like this, people make money in different ways. Merry Christmas, Dylan. Oobla doobla. Glad that you've joined us. Glad that you and old Henningsen at least are Wednesday afternoon kind of people and not just the occasional Tuesday morning kind of crowd. Looking forward to the weekend though. We're about to get some bitter weather here in Oklahoma City for the next few days. The next 3 days, after overnight tonight, the highest high we're going to have is like 24. And the other two highs are like 8 and 12 or something. So, Gnarly, would you say that the scars on the hinge, where he reattached the hinges, don't look any worse than what Zippo would normally do? Just curious. I did say joint. Maybe bind would have been a better word. I don't know. I don't typically have a problem with that word though. Yeah, Dylan was calling me out in the comments the other day about my not using tobacco products but promoting Tobacciana, and then using other products but not promoting them. And well, Dylan, you can always go over to my website and you can read plenty. I get emails every day from somebody, and as a matter of fact, I remember I just got one here in the last couple of days that I need to respond to. A very long email that was written to me. But you can read plenty about the herb over there. Oh yeah, I know. I don't take it personal. But like I said, there's plenty of content over there on the website where you can read about the different aspects. I wrote several articles a few years ago about, different delivery methods, maybe some vape pens, things like that. Maybe some other paraphernalia. But, just trying to stay out of trouble on YouTube. I never had a strike or anything like that, but I figure it's probably better to be coy than to, just be sitting on camera blazing up. He told you he had tested it tested the metal and it was nickel steel. What do you now see? That makes we talked about that a couple weeks ago, the 46 or 47 tall case, whatever that was nickel silver. Is that what you're talking about? You didn't say nickel silver though, you said nickel steel. What is nickel steel? So I take it you're saying it is steel, not what is referred to as nickel silver. But that whatever content of nickel it has in it, it's still considered stainless?
Okay, so you say Ted did weld it, he did it for himself because he knew the value of what the lighter was. The hinge wasn't even a second thought to do it. It's 3-barrel. He didn't need a. You're saying it wasn't even a thought to do his 3-barrel because he didn't have one available? Yeah, man, that's where I have a hard time at that point. If you're talking about a lighter that you think is such a unicorn because of the material it's made out of, I think you might be better off leaving the hinge, leaving it without a hinge, finding the buyer that way, and let them figure out what they want to do with it. But obviously, it worked out. He ended up with the lighter he wanted. You said he fixed it for himself, and then you bought it from him, so it all worked out. But yeah, I'm very curious about the material. Still, I've never heard that term nickel steel. I've heard nickel silver. No, I've seen the Park aluminum lighters, and they usually have the Alcoa on the one of the spines, front or back. I can't remember. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. I know. I'm saying I've read somewhere, or you bringing up Alcoa is not the first time. That's all I meant to say about the Alcoa Zippo. Is I have heard of that before. I've never heard of stainless steel Zippo. Rogers table lighter was that? Gnarly? Trying to remember. The only Rogers lighter I can remember right at the moment was I had a couple of Rogers pipe lighters that were, I believe they were solid aluminum block lighters, gold tone. I have had some other Japanese made table lighters though. I'm trying to remember if one of them might have been a Rogers. Yeah, that's all a very curious and interesting subject to me. It's difficult though for me to, that's kind of some of the minutia that, too much of it. Trying to memorize years that, there's our friend Mario Bear. He can correct you on just about any Zippo insert or date stamp. Probably knows all this stuff. Maybe that's who we need. We need Mario to join us in one of these live streams. Maybe he knows something about the stainless steel from the 1940s. But there's all the rage about the copper nowadays, and I had a friend send me a link a couple of weeks ago to a titanium Zippo that was listed in his area. And then you mentioned the aluminum from the Alcoa company, which I guess if that does exist, that would be similar to the Kennecott copper. And that's why I thought perhaps when you first brought up the stainless steel, that the advertising on that lighter might be a stainless steel company. But then, you know, you got the nickel silver and the steel that was plated in the late 40s, early 50s. Maybe that was just the early 50s. I can't remember. But, you know, there's all those Zippo experts, they can tell you. Plenty of folks over there in the Zippo Addicts Facebook group that you post these kind of questions, they know the answer to. You say you can tell it has been rewelded. You know, there's not, I don't know that I've ever seen Zippo that Zippo repaired where you can't tell that it's been repaired. But it still doesn't mean that it, you know, looks horrible. It's not like it completely ruins the lighter every time. What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean, Gnarly. That may be a typo. You said it's hard to write wild. Are you talking about it's hard to work with thin stainless steel? I guess I'm curious why they would have used the stainless steel in the first place. But I guess if at the time they were already experimenting with the other cheaper steel that they ended up using, and the nickel silver and all that, then why not? Yeah, that's very curious. Well, we haven't heard from NAFTA up in Tulsa. I assume he's bracing for the same sort of weather as we're going to have down here, Gnarly. Or any of the other folks here in the States, as it looks like, well, unless you're south of where Oklahoma City is on the map, and maybe even if you are south, just about anywhere to either side and up is going to be brutal cold for the time being. Well, I'm sorry for the short announcement. I'm sorry for the odd time. I'm sorry for those that might have missed it. Hopefully you go back and watch the replay and know that I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. To all of our... Hello, Eli. Sure, ask what you want. Says he found some of his dad's old lighters. You literally just found it? Well, fortunate for you that we just happen to be live today at the moment. I was about to end it telling everyone Merry Christmas. That's interesting information there, Gnarly. I did not know that. Of course, I know that there's terpenes in all kinds of different plants and food, but I didn't know that CBD was present in those others. Hello, Eastwa. Glad you've joined us. I mentioned you earlier. Yeah, you really confusing me with all that talk about nickel silver, gnarly. So you're saying there's a difference between nickel steel and nickel silver? I was just mentioning that there was no warning. The normal live stream we do on Tuesday morning, and that we were finding out who the Wednesday afternoon crowd was, and whether that was different from a Tuesday morning crowd. So just mentioned you and Sean and Azrael and Naphtha and some of our regulars. And we've had a few stop in. Dylan was here. Gnarly's been here. And now Eli is asking some questions. And you're very fortunate, Eli, because with Eastwa in the room, he's probably got more knowledge about Flintstones than anybody I know, at least as far as the variety that I have seen that he is in possession of. Most of your lighters are going to be able, if you can find Zippo, Ronson, whatever flint you can buy at Walmart. Where are you located, Eli? Are you in the United States or another part of the world? But whatever normal flint will work in, okay, I would think you could probably find Zippo flint surely in Mexico. But those will work in most lighters. The generic ones that you get off of eBay will work in most lighters. I've got some red flint. I can't remember the seller's name right now. I still need to put a link on my that helpful lighter related links page of my website to that seller. But my friend Robert Hollingsworth sent me several hundred flints a few months ago. And they're a seller on eBay, and they're very affordable, and they work great. Now, for some of the older lighters, it does seem like the Dunhill blue flints are superior. I've seen many Ronson lighters that just weren't, they might light 1 or 2 out of 5 times, and you put a Dunhill blue in it, and it's lighting every time. What particular lighter are you talking about, Eli? Yeah, you may be right, Gnarly. But the other thing too, if he wanted to find a 3-barrel hinge, it's not like it's that. There's a good chance you find a lighter with any. I mean, you're gonna have to find a really crappy lighter with a 3-barrel hinge for you to want to pull that 3-barrel hinge off of it and put it on another one. I would think. Yeah, definitely. Eastwall is backing me up on that. That Zippo Flint should work in most of them. I do. I know my friend Robert Hollingsworth. He also has mentioned he thinks that something happens with oxidation in the old Ronson Redskin flints that makes them harder, and he believes that using a Ronson Redskin flint will actually damage the lighter, or can damage the lighter. I don't know if I'm sold on that, but I'm not calling him crazy for it either. Well, one thing you can do, Eli, is go over to my website, dependableflame.com, contact us page under lighters, and you send me some pictures in the Facebook Messenger from the dependableflame.com page on Facebook. You can email me. You can text me. You can also send pictures over in the Discord. I don't know if you're part of the Discord or not. If not, email me. I think I can send you an invite over there to the Discord. Gotcha. So
Eastwa, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying you think that the reason that some of them take a different or like a different flint is because the wheel has been damaged somewhat? And thought about that. I know that if you look over at the well, let's just do it. If we look at the Toledo Bend VCL page, cool, right there. If we go to the 1954 lighter repair manual. Oh, wrong. It's not the way that I usually look at the repair manual. I have a copy in my on the iPad that I'm doing the stream from, but there is a page. Oh, here we go. Flints and wicks. So it shows you all these different sizes or all these different flints. It tells you the difference. Some are very long. Some are 2 or 3 times as long. Most are the shorter variety, but yeah, so I don't know if any of those were actually softer or harder. I know there's people that claim that Thorns need I believe they say those need a harder flint, but I never had any problem. I've owned, I don't know, at least a half a dozen Thorns, and those cheap eBay flints were good in those just fine. Yeah, Eli, go over to my webpage, man. Can't do that exactly from here either, because it'll log me into my back office. I think I can do it this way. Go over here to, well, type in the search. Let's type repair. And you'll find some articles where I talk about it. How to repair vintage cigarette lighters that won't spark. The basics about flints and wicks. But as far as specifics, if you have questions about a specific lighter, then you can take pictures. Take a picture of the top of it with the lid open. Excuse me. And then also the base of the lighter. And then just send those over, like I said, email, Facebook Messenger, text. And let me, ask your question. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, and you certainly see, I'm assuming that metal, it's a heat-treated metal that the file wheels are made out of. So I don't know exactly, I'm not an engineer or anything. I'm not a metals expert or an engineer. But it's obvious, you run across wheels that obviously don't have the bite that they should have or once did. Yeah, you can send them through Messenger on Facebook, or or if you're part of the Discord, the Zippo Discord, yeah. If not, then message me, and I think I can send you a link to the Zippo Discord. Hello, Mr. Frigid 247. I buy most of my lighters off of eBay, but other online estate sale type stuff. I also frequent the antique malls, flea markets, and stuff like that around here. I don't believe I've ever bought a lighter at a garage sale. But, I do find them here and there at the vintage markets and that kind of stuff. But the vast majority of what I buy is unidentified on eBay. Yeah, I don't really feel like I'm giving. I think I could even give you my search terms. I think I could give that away, and it still wouldn't really affect. It wouldn't change the way I buy, and I really haven't. I don't have any money to buy right now anyway, so I've been buying so little and just buying what I can for bargains. But it's really just long, hard work sifting through listings and finding things in pictures that a seller never even mentions in a description. Yeah, definitely. Send me your username, Frigid. Chances are, if they're in my wheelhouse, in other words, need work and um, they're not expensive, then I'm going to see your listings anyway. I keep a pretty good eye on them. But yeah, I would. I'd love to see what you got. I consider myself a salvage guy. Talked a lot about the work that I did with my father on cars back when I was a teenager, and the way that we bought them, and used parts off one for the car that we were building, and then we turn around and sell that car. And that's a lot of what I do with lighters. I don't buy mint condition lighters very often. I don't buy new lighters very often. I buy groups of old lighters that all need work. Yeah, and Eastwa is offering for help identifying as well, which if you've viewed his channel over on TikTok or even his YouTube channel, he's got a vast collection and knowledge and very prolific creator of vintage lighter content. But we talked about this last week, and I know we've talked about it before, even though you just joined us, Eli. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is, I forgot to mention eBay. You can send me a mention or a comment or a message on eBay as well. Which you can send pictures via that platform. So that's another one. eBay and Facebook are probably going to be the ones that get my attention the quickest. The text will get my attention too, so I'm not saying that one won't. But email, I guess I just don't get that many texts, or at least haven't here lately. Actually, text might be the best way to get a hold of me, but the email is the absolute worst because I have two different emails, and most people are going to they're not sending it to my personal email, which is my name, but to the bossman@dependableflame.com. Bossman@dependableflame.com. That is the email. For some reason, I thought it had Gmail in it or something, but I get so many emails, and I see your message over there. I can't go over there and look at it right at the moment, Eli, but I will respond to you when we get off of the live. But yeah, that's a perfect place over there on the Facebook Messenger. Orchestrated a trade the other day for we talked about it last Tuesday. I think we talked about it on here last Tuesday. Yeah, with Friedrich. Anyway, I haven't heard back from him since maybe Monday. So I hope that trade is still on. But we finished off that trade in the Facebook messenger platform there, and you can send pictures. You know, you can text back or message back and forth just like a text. It works just as well as anything, and it's one of the harder ones for me to ignore because I get a notification in both. Well, actually, I get 3 different notifications, both in my personal and then 2 different places from the business settings in Facebook's interface there. Now, I believe the Ronson Starfire was butane lighter, Mr. Frigid, and I've actually, I always test butane lighters. I don't work on them. I know that East Wa has some butane lighters that he's done videos on, so he might have some expertise there that I don't. But the Starfire is a pretty neat little, sort of like the Capri, about that size, but butane. And the 2 or 3 that I had, I only had one of them that would hold fuel, and even though it held fuel, it leaked out more than it, or I guess I should say faster than it should have, so it wasn't really a usable lighter. But that's going to be the problem with your old butane lighters, Mr. Frigid, is chances are they're going to leak gas. So if you have some butane, you can test them, or you know, you can just try to sell them as untested if you don't want to repair them. That's up to you. I come across butane lighters, old butane lighters, when I buy a group of old petrol lighters, and those just happen to be in there. So, or you know, a group of old lighters, because I'm after the petrol lighters in there. So, like I said, I deal with them tangentially. I don't make them a project on purpose. But that's going to be the case for just about any old butane lighter you find. I can think of a handful of lighters. I mean, literally. I can think of only 4 or 5 lighters in the last... I've been doing this now for 5 years, a little over, maybe 5.5, and only a handful that actually held gas and, in other words, received it and also held it up top. They always leak either one or the other. Yeah, me either. I don't even want to think about it. We talked about that a little bit last week, I think, Eastwa. I've had a kit of those Roll-A-Gas O-rings and all that for a couple years now. I just can't bring myself to want to do that work. I have a hard enough time with my hands with, you know, the just medium detail of kind of, well, I mean, even some petrol lighters can be pretty complex when it comes to the semi-automatic systems and stuff like that. But, you know, it's little O-rings, and it's just a more complex system. And, you know, it's not, I've repaired cars since before I was driving. It's not like I can't repair a complex machine. It's just, I'm not looking for headaches. Ah, got you. Yeah. Well, see, that's where my criteria for, and I have in the past made some videos of some butane lighters that weren't working, simply so I could show, because that's why I started making videos, so I could show the condition of the lighter. But it's also been very important to me that every lighter I sold was in working condition. So if it's not in working condition, then well, nowadays, most of those kind of lighters I sell in groups. I just don't sell them by themselves. But in the past, you know, I had some, I can remember I think it was a sterling silver Cartier Roll-A-Gas type lighter that was made by KW. But I could never get the adjustment. You couldn't adjust it down short enough to use it. And it shot a flame Now I'm wondering whether I think I made a video for that lighter. I should be able to look that up. But the flame was way too tall. Way too tall. So I did sell that lighter by itself and just noted that it wasn't working correctly. And so, I mean, technically I don't have any problem with doing that, but yeah, you're just showing off lighters. You told me, I forgot, you said the other day you don't sell, or at least up to this point. Maybe it wasn't Cartier. What was it? See if we can go at this another way. KW. There we go. Not Cartier, Tiffany. Vintage Tiffany and Company. Sterling silver. Got music in there, so I guess I probably shouldn't turn that up. Back when I was including country music into my videos. But we'll see here when the slider starts up. But that was and I think I sold this lighter for $300. Even in the poorly working condition that it was in. There you can see that it was marked. And that video is not as bad as this video is making it look. Well, now that flame didn't look too bad. Could have lived with that. Maybe that was it. Maybe it wouldn't go as high as I wanted it to go. Yeah. I don't remember the specifics now. Maybe it didn't. There you go. Way too high. Probably an easy fix. But like I said, I sold that lighter for good money anyway. And that was a lighter that I acquired in that same group with all those lighters that were engraved for, what was that? It was the initials JJC, something Jocko Clark, Naval Admiral, I believe. Anyway, cool lighter. You don't, but if you would, you still wouldn't. Or if they would, you still wouldn't. Yeah, I understand. You know, there's people that come into it from all different directions. And I came into it so hard from the direction of selling and not being a collector that for the first couple years, I had family members sometimes that would give me lighters. And I mean, I'd offer to pay them for them and they'd never take anything for them, but you know, the lighters itself weren't anything necessarily sentimental to me or, you know, specifically of interest to me. So I always sold those lighters. But since then I've got thinking about it and I feel kind of bad. I wish I hadn't sold those lighters. Especially a couple that my son gave me. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, now, most of the time nowadays when somebody gives me a lighter, especially a family member, then that's just going to stay in my personal collection. But otherwise, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking to make money. Yeah, Tiffany are expensive. And that was, man, that collection, it's crazy that lighter, which didn't even work right, it sold for so much. I paid $1,000 for that collection. And then paid another $300 to have it mailed to me, or shipped to me. So paid a total of $1,300. But there was a solid sterling Dunhill in there that I sold for, I can't remember, $700, I think. There were multiple. There was a solid gold cigar piercer in there that I sold for like $380. So there's 3 lighters that got back my money on that, and there was still a Black Crackle. There was a Thorn's single claw. No, it was a double claw. There was the Air America Zippo. There was the USS Missouri Surrender Zippo, which had a repaired hinge on it, just like the Air America one did. There was an Abdullah pencil lighter. Trying to remember all the specifics. Excuse me, 1950s or 1960s, I can't remember now. Seems like maybe early 1960s Goldfield engine turn Zippo. It was a gold mine. That $1,300 was cheap. It was 37 items, 26 lighters, 11 pokers, pipe tools, different implements, cutters, piercers. Really awesome stuff though. Well, Eli, I will respond to you over on the Facebook Messenger. I appreciate Eastwa, Mr. Frigid. Send me a message. Let me know what your eBay seller name is. I'd definitely like to take a look at your listings. I'm glad that Gnarly was with us today. Merry Christmas to you, to all of you. Dylan DePie. And we missed those, of course, that are normally with us, and I apologize. Hopefully you guys get a chance to see it. Go back and re-watch the live stream, which I always leave these up. So I appreciate the conversation today, Gnarly, Eastwa. Like I said, miss you guys, Sean. Hey, J-Ro, yeah. Just coming on to say hello, say Merry Christmas. Explain where I've been the last couple days. And hopefully you guys all have a good weekend and a safe one. I know you were talking about the Mississippi winter and how swampy that usually is. But I don't know, surely you guys are going to be cooling down some this weekend just like it is here. Yeah, Eli, we'll send me some pictures. If they've got lids, then open up the lid, take a picture, and then snap a picture of the bottom. And then let me know what your questions are. And we'll get you worked out. Get them working, and then you and your mom can decide. Hopefully, enjoy your father's smoking implements this Christmas. Yeah, it's gonna be bitter, John. So yeah, bundle up, stay warm, and hopefully I'll be able to keep a video up here for the next few days. At some point we'll probably be taking a break at the first of the year, but you can still reach me all those other ways, Eli, that we talked about. Just because I happen to be taking off and not publishing videos doesn't mean I wouldn't answer your or couldn't answer your Facebook Messenger queries. And if I do take a break, don't worry. I'm not planning on leaving forever or anything. But you know, a vacation, a little bit of distance is good every now and then. And I hadn't really taken any real time off since back in the summer, and want to make sure and enjoy plenty of time this Christmas, with Christmas and New Year's, all the holidays, with my family, and hope that you guys are all able to do the same. Well, like I said, man, let me know, Facebook Messenger, and we'll get those lighters working, Eli. Until next time.